They laughed when he walked in. A man with a torn cap, a ragged beard, and a backpack that looked older than time itself. His boots squeaked against the polished tiles of the Mercedes showroom, each step echoing like an intrusion. The air smelled of engine oil, perfume, and quiet judgment. Executives in designer suits exchanged looks, the kind reserved for people who didn't belong. But he walked with the kind of stillness that carried storms. He wasn't there to beg or ask for a brochure. He was there to buy. When he stopped beside a gleaming white truck and said, "I'll take 5 of these," the entire showroom froze. Laughter rippled through the air, the kind that cuts. "Sir," the manager said, fighting back a smirk, "these aren't bicycles." But the old man didn't blink. He didn't look offended or confused. He simply nodded and said, "Asterisk. I know, and I'll take 5. Asterisk. That was the moment everything began to shift. The laughter would soon die, the smirks would fade, and the world would remember that sometimes miracles don't roar in with applause. They walk in quietly, covered in dust and dignity. Because this isn't a story about money or pride, it's about belief. The kind that's been burned, buried, and reborn in silence. This is the story of Harold Brindley, the man who bought 5 trucks and rebuilt 1,000 lives. The showroom gleamed under bright halogen lights. Polished chrome reflected every movement, every whispered laugh. The smell of engine oil mixed with new paint, the scent of ambition and power. Behind the glass doors, men in pressed suits and women in heels glided between vehicles that cost more than some homes. Then, the doors opened with a soft creak. A man stepped in who didn't belong in that world of shine. His clothes were faded, boots worn thin. His cap was torn at the edge, his beard a map of years and storms. Yet, his eyes, calm, gray, unshaken, carried something rare. Quiet certainty. The room fell slightly silent, then rippled with murmurs. A few mechanics turned their heads. A young receptionist stifled a laugh. Miranda Hale, the showroom manager, elegant, silver-haired, and sharp, raised an eyebrow. She watched him walk up to the largest truck, a bright white Mercedes Actros, the kind used by the world's biggest transport companies. He placed a calloused hand on the chrome grille and whispered softly, almost reverently, "Asterisk, she's a beauty." Asterisk. Then, his voice carried across the hall, "Asterisk, I'll take 5 of these." Asterisk. For a moment, no one breathed. Then came the laughter point. One of the salesmen chuckled openly. "Sir," Miranda said, her tone balancing politeness with disbelief, "each one costs more than most people earn in a lifetime." The old man looked at her, not angry, not offended, just still. "I know," he said. "Asterisk, and I'll take 5. Asterisk. The laughter grew, but his calm unsettled her. There was something about his presence that didn't fit the image of a delusional dreamer. His hands, though rough, were steady, the kind that had built and fixed, not begged. "Sir," Miranda said finally, softening her voice, "perhaps you're in the wrong place. There's a used vehicle lot down the street." He smiled faintly. "I'm in the right place," he replied, adjusting his backpack. Asterisk. "But maybe you're seeing the wrong man." Asterisk. The words hung like a quiet challenge. Then he walked toward the coffee machine, poured a paper cup of water, and sat down as if he belonged there. What no one knew was that his name was Harold Brindley, once an engineer, a soldier, and a husband. Years ago, he'd built engines with his bare hands and led convoys through war zones. Life had taken it all: his wife Clara, his small company, his home. The last thing he buried was his son, gone too soon. The world had taken everything except his will. For 5 years, Harold worked roadside repairs, sleeping in workshops and old garages. He saved every cent, not for comfort, for a cause. He dreamed of a company that would give the broken a second chance. Veterans, single mothers, the homeless. He called it Second Route Logistics, a place where those who'd lost everything could find purpose again. And today, it was finally real. Miranda turned back to her work, shaking her head. But when she looked up again, Harold was at her desk, calm, polite, and holding a neatly folded set of documents. Asterisk, here's my purchase order. Asterisk, he said simply. She took it with a half smile that faded quickly. The papers were real, properly stamped, signed, and sealed. The logo at the top read, Second Route Logistics Incorporated. Her eyes narrowed. Asterisk, who authorized this? Asterisk, she murmured. Then she froze. The signature at the bottom. She recognized it instantly. It was from the regional head of Mercedes Commercial Partnerships, a man who only approved elite clients. Her mouth went dry. Asterisk, how did you get this? Asterisk, she asked. Harold's eyes softened. He was my student once, he said quietly. Asterisk, I taught him mechanical logistics before he had a company to run. I fixed his first trucks myself. Asterisk, the room fell silent. The laughter from earlier now felt heavy, shameful. Julia, the young assistant, looked down, her cheeks flushed. Serena, another employee, stepped forward. Asterisk, Mr. Brinley, I'm so sorry for how we… Asterisk, but he raised his hand gently. No need, he said with a small smile. Asterisk, you were only doing what the world teaches, to see with eyes, not with heart. Asterisk, phones began to ring. Paperwork was verified. Calls were made. Every single thing checked out. The payment had already been wired. He wasn't a wanderer. He wasn't insane. He was building something bigger than anyone in that room could imagine. Hours later, as the evening sun filtered through the glass, Miranda approached him quietly. The showroom had emptied. Only the golden light and the soft hum of machines remained. You know, she said, voice low, I judged you the moment you walked in. I saw your clothes, your hands, your bag, and I thought you were just another dreamer too late in life. Harold smiled faintly. Dreams don't get smaller because people stop believing, he said. Asterisk. They just wait for the right hands to build them again. Asterisk, he paused, turning toward the trucks gleaming under the lights. Asterisk, these machines will feed families. They'll carry hope from one town to another. That's worth more than pride. Asterisk, for the first time in years, Miranda's eyes softened. It is, she whispered. The next morning, the trucks rolled out. 5 giants of steel and purpose, each driven by someone who'd been invisible yesterday. Men and women who had slept in shelters, now wearing clean uniforms, smiling behind the wheels of possibility. People stopped to watch. The town buzzed with whispers. The ragged old man who walked into a Mercedes showroom and bought 5 trucks. Not for wealth, but for hope. A week later, the dealership received a letter. It was handwritten, old-fashioned, and signed simply, Harold Brinley. It read, Thank you for the laughter. It reminded me how far I've come. Maybe kindness doesn't start with believing in others, but in giving them a chance to prove you wrong. Miranda kept that letter framed in her office. Every new employee read it on their first day, a quiet reminder that appearances lie, but purpose never does. And out there, somewhere down the long highways of the world, 5 white trucks rolled across the horizon, carrying more than cargo. They carried the seed of a miracle, planted by a man who never gave up on the road or on people.